Have you ever been exhausted because life was difficult, or because you were trying to become someone or something that you perhaps were never really meant to be? Your calling may require education, discipline, training, and years of refinement, but when it's genuinely aligned with who you are, even that work feels meaningful. Hi, I'm Dr. Jo Messenger. Thanks for tuning in. In this video, let's cover why your natural gifts, your deepest fulfillment, and your authentic purpose are often found in the things that you do so intuitively, so that you might even underestimate their value. Let's cover how to identify your effortless strengths and how to apply them to your health, to your money, to your career, to your relationships and your spiritual life, and how to stop tying your happiness to any other person. Let's explore personal responsibility, purpose, relationship alignment, manipulation, destiny, interference, karmic consequences, and the emptiness that can remain when external success is pursued without inner fulfillment. Ask yourself, what do I do that appears effortless to other people? That means you. What do you do that appears effortless to other people? What brings me alive, even when it requires work? Where have I been forcing life that does not feel like mine? Because your gifts are not accidents. Your fulfillment is not selfish. Your purpose is calling you home to yourself. Struggle doesn't always mean that you're failing. Sometimes struggle is evidence that you are trying to become something that you're not really meant to be. You may have been trying to live someone else's definition of success, trying to perform a role that you have outgrown, trying to maintain a relationship that requires you to abandon yourself, or trying to force a career, a lifestyle, or an identity that looks impressive from the outside but feels empty on the inside. And the harder you try to make the wrong life work, the more exhausted, the more frustrated, and the more disconnected you can become. There's a profound difference between the discomfort of growth and the suffering of self-betrayal. Growth stretches you. Self-betrayal drains you. Growth asks you to become more of who you truly are, and self-betrayal asks you to become somebody else. It's time to recognize the abilities, the qualities, and the desires that point towards your authentic path, because the life that is right for you will not always be easy, but it will feel deeply meaningful. It will strengthen you rather than continually diminish you. It will challenge you without requiring you to lose yourself. And sometimes within it, even during the difficult seasons, there will be a current of joy, purpose, or fulfillment that reminds you that this actually matters to me. And if not, why are you doing it in the first place? Here is one of the most revealing questions that you can ask yourself. Again, what do I do that appears effortless to other people? What do people regularly ask me to help with? What do I understand intuitively that other people find difficult or can't even see at all, even though it seems really obvious to you? What have I become so competent at that I no longer recognize it as a gift? What are those things for you? Perhaps you naturally calm people during a crisis. Perhaps you can organize complexity and create clarity. Perhaps you communicate ideas in a way that people immediately understand. Perhaps you can see patterns in health, behavior, in relationships or businesses that other people overlook. Perhaps you create beautifully. Perhaps you teach, lead, write, build, nurture, negotiate. Perhaps you heal, invent, sing, hop, skip, jump, dance or inspire. Perhaps you instinctively know how to make other people feel seen, how to help them to feel safe and comfortable. These abilities may feel completely ordinary to you, precisely because they are so deeply embedded within you. You may assume that everyone else can do what you do, that everybody else can intuit what you intuit. But here's the thing, they can't. One of the greatest tragedies of human potential is that people often dismiss their most natural gifts because those gifts don't feel sufficiently difficult. Some people have been taught to associate struggle with value. Some people think that if something comes naturally, it probably isn't that important. Some people believe that work must feel punishing before it can be worthy. But your natural capacity is not less valuable because it comes naturally to you. It may be natural because it's a part of your design. So let's make an important distinction. When I say that your true path may appear effortless, I'm not suggesting that you should avoid discipline, avoid education, practice, or refinement. Natural talent still needs development. Diamonds and gems still need polishing. A gifted singer trains their voice. A natural leader learns how to communicate responsibly. A healer studies the body, mind, anatomy, emotions, energy, and neuroscience. A writer writes, edits, and rewrites. An athlete practices movements thousands of times before the performance appears effortless. Your mastery often looks easy because of the years of preparation that you have done are invisible to others. You may have trained, studied, practiced, and refined your gift for decades, but when the work is aligned with your nature, even the process of developing it becomes meaningful. You may become tired, but you don't feel spiritually vacant. You may experience frustration, but something within you still wants to continue. You may need to rest, you may need to learn, you may need to change your approach, but you don't have to continually force yourself to care because it's within your nature already. And that's the important distinction. Aligned work can be demanding, but it does not require you to become a stranger to yourself. And there's 3 signs that an activity, a calling, or a direction may be genuinely aligned with you. And the first is natural engagement. You become absorbed in it. You may lose track of time. You feel mentally, emotionally, or creatively just switched on. The second is meaningful effort. The work may be difficult, but the difficulty seems worthwhile. You're willing to practice because you care about the outcome. And the third step is fulfillment. After doing it, you feel more connected to yourself, not less. You may feel physically tired, but internally nourished. Ask yourself, what leaves me feeling more alive? What kind of contribution gives me genuine satisfaction? What work would I still value even if nobody applauded immediately or ever? And it's quite common these days for people to not applaud at all and often do the troll thing, the cancel thing, the try and tear you down thing. So what would you still do even if that was happening? Because these questions can reveal far more than asking, what should I do with my life? Apply this to your health. Let's make it practical. In your health, what form of movement feels natural and sustainable for you? Not what is trending, not what somebody online says that you must do. What can you realistically continue? Perhaps it's walking, swimming, strength training, dancing, yoga, gardening, cycling, mobility exercises. What is it for you, or what are they for you? You do not need to force yourself into somebody else's routine. Choose practices that support your body, your lifestyle, and that you can repeat consistently, that you're willing to repeat consistently. Ask yourself, what healthy choice feels most sustainable for me? What does my body respond well to? What practice leaves me feeling stronger, calmer, or clearer? Then simply do more of that. Because consistency grows when your health practices fit your life and your nerve system. How about money? Let's consider money and career. Where are you naturally effective? Do you work best by teaching, creating, consulting, managing, selling, solving problems, supporting others, or building systems? What value do you create almost instinctively? Your financial path can become more sustainable when it's connected to your genuine value, your developed ability, and meaningful contribution. And that doesn't mean every part of your business will feel easy or always pleasurable. Administration may not feel effortless. Marketing may require learning. Negotiation may be challenging for you. But the central value that you offer will feel more fulfilling when it's connected to something real within you, when your heart is in it. So don't build your entire career around an identity that you cannot emotionally sustain or that you're not willing to. Don't spend decades climbing a ladder only to discover that it was leaning against somebody else's building. Ask yourself, what problems do people trust me to solve? What work gives me energy as well as income? What work would you do even if it didn't have income attached to it? That doesn't mean don't get paid. You've got to buy your groceries. Which of my strengths could be developed into a meaningful service, into a meaningful career, a business, or a body of work? And what am I pretending to want simply because it brings status? Success without self-connection becomes another form of poverty. There's no shortage of people who are surrounded by a bunch of toys the trappings of wealth even, and still feel that something is missing. And this principle also applies to relationships. Healthy love does not require you to perform a false version of yourself. Of course, relationships require effort, compromise, communication, and maturity. But compromise is not the same as self-erasure. Love shouldn't demand that you permanently suppress your purpose, to silence your truth, or abandon your growth so that somebody else can feel comfortable. In healthy relationships, a healthy relationship creates room for two people to become more fully themselves, more whole. It's not one person's dream consuming the other person's life. It's not one person carrying the emotional, financial, or spiritual responsibility for both. It's two people who've taken responsibility for their own integrity and then choose to walk together. Don't chain your fulfillment to somebody else. You must not attach your entire purpose, happiness, or future to another person without their agreement. You don't have the right to marry your wishes to somebody else's life and then call that destiny, to ride on somebody else's coattails. Another person is not responsible for completing your purpose. They're not a prize that proves your worth. They are not a vehicle through which you can avoid developing your own gifts. They're not required to abandon their truth so that you can live out some fantasy. You're responsible for finding and building your own source of meaning. You're responsible for your decisions, for your development, for your integrity, and for your contributions. When you've built a relationship with your own purpose, you can then meet another person of the same frequency from wholeness, rather than from dependency, rather than from neediness, rather than from needing someone else to fill up a hole in you somewhere, an inadequacy, a shortcoming. And then you're not asking them to rescue you from an unlived life. You're inviting them to share the life that you consciously want to create. What else on that? Love is partnership. It's not possession. It's not a competition. The days of trophy wives and trophy husbands, it's like, oh, surely we've put that to rest by now. And whether you describe this principle as karmic law, universal law, or simply cause and effect, the outcome is similar. If you repeatedly violate someone else's autonomy, manipulate their choices, or interfere with their relationships for personal advantage, consequences follow. Trust deteriorates. Inner peace becomes difficult. Relationships built through deception remain vulnerable to deception. External success cannot permanently silence an internal lack of meaning. And there's danger in trying to hijack somebody else's path. Some people attempt to engineer a more prestigious, luxurious, or socially impressive life by attaching themselves to another person's status, to another person's resources, relationship, or purpose. They may insert themselves into an existing bond. They may manipulate circumstances. They may undermine somebody else step on somebody else. They may present themselves as the answer while quietly creating division. In spiritual language, some people call this destiny interference, destiny swapping, or karma transfer. For instance, I know a woman who intentionally inserted herself between two twin flame partners, specifically because she wanted to keep a house, the status and the finances that she would lose, that she would have forfeited if her husband left her for his true twin flame partner. She even gaslit everyone into believing the other woman was attacking her and tried to steal her life, all the while she was intentionally stealing the other woman's destiny and energy. Some people are just monsters and will do anything for money and for prestige, for clout. In grounded psychological language, hijacking someone else's life is called manipulation, entitlement, and the attempt to acquire externally what has not been developed internally. But here's the thing. You can't steal another person's fulfillment and expect it to become your own. You may gain access to the house, to the money, to the title, to the social circle, hijack the friends, or have all of the appearances of success, but access is not alignment. Possession is not purpose. Prestige is not peace. And luxury isn't necessarily love. A person may accumulate everything that was supposed to prove that they had won something or someone and still feel chronically insecure, dissatisfied, or afraid of losing it. Why? Because what was acquired externally cannot repair what has been abandoned internally. A life created through manipulation requires constant management. It's exhausting. A relationship acquired through deception carries the memory of the deception. And a position gained by diminishing others or standing on others or ruining others, shoving them out of the way, does not create genuine self-respect or long-term respect from others. And this is not about condemning or labeling people. It's about recognizing a universal pattern of cause and consequence. If your fulfillment depends upon displacing, controlling, or depriving another person, it's not authentic fulfillment. If your fulfillment depends on displacing, controlling, or depriving another person, your soul will never feel satisfied. And here's an important truth. Someone may be able to interfere with your opportunities. They may damage a relationship. They may spread false information about you. They may attempt to take the position to copy your work or benefit from what you created. They might try and wear your crown, so to speak. That can be painful. It's most certainly unjust and deeply disruptive. But another person can never become you. They cannot reproduce the totality of your experience, your consciousness, your character, and your contributions. So your task is not to spend the rest of your life watching what they are doing or watching what anyone else is doing. Your task is to return to your own path, no matter how far you have wandered from it. Your purpose is weakened if all your energy is consumed by resentment. And it is strengthened when you reclaim your attention, when you develop your own gifts, and when you continue creating. When you get back on your path and get back to you and to what you get back to what your heart is in, to what you want to put your heart into. Don't surrender the rest of your destiny to the person or the people who interfered with one chapter or two chapters or whatever. Learn the lesson, strengthen your boundaries, and seek appropriate professional or even legal support wherever necessary. Tell the truth with dignity and then return to the work that is actually yours to do. What happens if you ignore your purpose? Some people are so busy overindulging in hedonistic lifestyles, in schmecks and droogs and rock and roll, in gossip, addictions and self-aggrandizement, that they either set their gifts down or use them for the dark instead of the light, and either way, ignore their soul purpose. If you refuse your authentic path for too long, life often becomes increasingly uncomfortable. You may experience restlessness, resentment, burnout, or a persistent sense that something's missing. And jealousy can seep in if you see others having what you want for yourself, but haven't made the steps to accomplish ethically so far. You may blame your relationship, you may blame your career, your family, your circumstances, the government, the system, the courts, the whoever else, when the deeper problem is that you're not participating constructively in your own life. We create our own reality. That used to be something the mystics taught us, and now the quantum physicists and neuroscientists, they're all proving it. Are you waiting for somebody to give you permission? Are you waiting for certainty? Are you waiting for Mercury to look like it's going forwards again? Are you waiting for rescue? Are you waiting for recognition? Are you waiting for somebody to die? What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for the perfect conditions? Are you waiting to win the lottery? Purpose is rarely delivered as a fully completed map. It's usually revealed through movement. You follow what is meaningful. You develop what is natural. You notice what creates value and what doesn't. You respond to the opportunities in front of you. And then the next step becomes visible because you took the previous step. If you're not making any steps, you might not be able to see which next steps to make. What can you do about wherever you're at right now? How can you make practical sense of all of this? Take out a page and divide it into 5 sections. Health, money and career, relationships, personal growth, spiritual connection. And under each heading, answer these same 3 questions. What currently feels forced, draining, or false? What feels natural, meaningful, or energizing? What is one action I can take this week to do more of what is aligned? For health, your action might be scheduling 3 walks. For money, it might be identifying a skill that people already value and exploring how can you use it more and get paid for it. For your career, it might be having a conversation about changing responsibilities or beginning a project that reflects your strengths. For relationships, it might be setting a boundary, speaking honestly, for releasing the expectation that another person might provide for your sense of purpose. For relationship, it might be about getting one, having one. For spiritual connection, it might be meditation, prayer, spending time in nature, or creating enough silence to hear your own inner wisdom again, like you used to when you were younger, like was automatic and natural when you were a child. Authentic change begins when you stop arguing with or negotiating against what you already innately know. Your natural gifts are clues. Your recurring desires are clues. Your problems that you feel compelled to solve, they're clues. The experiences that you have survived may also be clues. Sometimes the wisdom that you are forced to develop becomes part of what you have to offer, but don't confuse familiarity with destiny. Some patterns feel automatic because they've been conditioned into you, indoctrinated into you even, or projected upon you even. People pleasing may feel automatic. Overworking may feel automatic. Rescuing others may feel automatic. Remaining silent may feel automatic. That doesn't make them your purpose. Your authentic path, it will expand with your integrity. It will not require chronic self-abandonment. It will help you become more truthful, more responsible, more courageous, and feel more alive. Anyway, I'm Dr. Jo Messenger. Thanks for joining me. Replay this video, pause and restart as many times as you need to so that you can get from wherever you are now to wherever your soul prefers you to be. And remember, your path may require effort. It will. It already has. And so has everybody else's. Everybody has had a story. But it should never require you to abandon your soul.